I decided to vote early mainly because I wanted to avoid the long lines, but also to make sure I did my civic duty early enough so that there wouldn't be any issues or concerns.
I decided to vote early because one is because it's so much easier and they don't have so many people to deal with.
Yeah, so I went out to do my early voting, and when I did my early voting, it was on the last day. And let me tell you, man, when I went to that line, man, that shit was long than a bitch, man. Did my early voting on the last day at the last minute. There's a whole bunch of people lined up and shit like that, man. God damn, I could only imagine how long the line is going to be on the actual day of voting day. Holy shit, man. The line is going to be never ending. Jesus Christ. I finally got it out the way. It took me about like an hour and hour 30 minutes, for waiting in that long ass line.
It's just kind of fun.
I made the decision to vote early because I didn't want to have any traffic hiccups and I wanted to have time to do what needed to be done.
I decided to vote early because I wanted to make sure that my voice was heard and I got a chance to actually complete the process.
I decided to come and vote early to make sure that I didn't miss it and that my vote would count.
I think we decided to vote early today just for the plain and simple answer that it's more convenient and we want to avoid the lines on Tuesday.
I'm very excited to vote early. I didn't want to have to deal with the long lines, so I came in on my lunch break, voted, and I'm so happy that I did it.
First, I waited in like one line, and then, I'm over here thinking, okay, yeah, so we're finally gonna get in the room. Then it was like another room with another line. Then I'm like, okay, when I was done with that, I thought, okay, yeah, well, finally, this is it. Then it was another line, and I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy, man. Shit, that sucked. Let me tell you, that shit sucked. But anyways, when I finally made it to the line, I ended up voting and got that shit out the way, man. So the thing is, last day of voting was already gone. Now it's already up to the final voting day is going to be on November 5th, which is I think it's in a day or two. Yeah, so that's going to be the last day that you go out and vote. But the thing about that is, man, the line is going to be super long. You got to fucking camp out and just go out and just vote. But the thing is, for me, voting, oh my God, I think that it's worth it though.
And today I want to respond to the 6 concerns I heard the most. Number 1, by far, I do not want to choose between the lesser of 2 evils. 2 things. First, in most states there will be more than 2 candidates on the presidential ballot. Secondly, I think maybe you do want to choose between the lesser of 2 evils. Because it's the less evil choice. By not voting, you're essentially ranking the candidates as equally evil, which I think is technically impossible given their vastly different policy positions. Also, you're not just voting for president. I know it might feel that way because of national media coverage, but the elections down the ballot are extremely important. It's not just your senators and U.S. congresspeople, it's your state legislators who make the laws in your state, the school board members who decide what the curriculum is going to look like in your schools. Those elections have a massive effect on the community you live in.
God, all these people waiting in the line, man. It's how long you gotta wait just to be a part of the process. It's crazy. What's everything?
I'm a Republican in a blue state or a Democrat in a red state, so my vote doesn't matter. First, your down ballot votes might matter, but I'd argue your vote matters regardless. Like, you're right that your vote isn't going to tip the election, but by not voting, you're making politicians in your state believe that their state is less politically diverse than it actually is. And I think that's dangerous because a strong minority has a moderating effect on the party in power, both at national and local levels, and God knows we could use some moderation.
Voting helps to create the future. Politics affect almost every aspect of your life. The number of days you have to go to school, if or not you have to return bottles, for example. All of that is regulated through the legislative process. I also believe that there is one day of the year where everybody is equal. And that day is called Election Day.
It's a big election, it's an important election, and I would like to encourage everyone to vote right now. And if you're on the fence about whether to vote, or if you know someone who is, I'm just going to give you 10 reasons why it's great to vote right now. And if you can't vote right now, which in some states you have to wait until Election Day, then right now you need to make a plan for when and how you are going to vote on November 3rd. Number 1, it tends to be quick and easy. Now, long lines are a problem in some places, but 94% of Americans will be in and out in less than 30 minutes. Now, that number should be 100%, and it's a big deal that it isn't. Reporting on long wait times is really important because we We have to fix those problems. But hearing about long wait times discourages people from voting even in places where wait times are short. Reason number 2 to vote. On every day of the year, you are less powerful than Bill Gates. But not in this one way. You get the same number of votes as the richest people in America, and you get more votes than any of the organizations or corporations that we are always worrying about. And let me tell you, Jeff Bezos is voting. Like, you know that. Number 3, your vote influences the lives of people beyond just you, your neighbors, but also people all over the world. The United States is a very powerful country, and we have a responsibility as citizens to engage with that power.
In this particular environment, because we've got these new voting rights and the fact that the election season has already began, now what used to be referred to as election day is in fact election season. I don't believe anybody should live beneath their privilege. I know the impact that voting and politics have on your life. You don't have power if you don't use it. Voting is your power.
I, for one, think it's very important for people to go out and get their voices heard and go out and vote, you know, whether or not you're voting for Democrat, Republican, whether or not, even if you're voting for like third party, you know, it doesn't even matter. You know, you should just go out, get your voice heard, be a part of the democratic process. Because the thing is, if you're undecided or you just decided to back out the election, either way it goes, if you get the candidate, listen, a candidate is going to be chosen whether or not you decide to vote or not. And even if, you know, you don't like the candidate that's being chosen, you can't get mad because you didn't vote. You weren't a part of the process. It doesn't even, like, you got to be involved, you know, in the democratic process. You know, in our country's democratic process, you have to be involved in it, because the thing is, you can't be an undecided or non-voter and then be mad at the way things are going when you haven't even voted. The thing about it is, if people are going to try to rig the election, you know, like they tried to do last time, you know, let's make the win, you know, so undeniable that even if they try to rig it, it's not going to matter. As long as they keep the democratic process fair and balanced and they leave no room to rig the election, there won't be another need for another January the 6th.
There is a lot of energy all across America. The streets of America have erupted into protest and demonstration over racism and rogue policing. You've got young people, black and white, red and yellow, who are fighting for equity, fighting for fairness. And we're encouraging organizers and community leaders to help harness that energy you see in the streets of America and help people move from agony to action, help people move from protest to power. Voting is, in fact, your power.